this freak here. Now, this is a topic that comes up some. What is my preference regarding name of God? My preference is to avoid using. One might ask why. I mean, he's God. What problem might you have? See, I almost feel like using the name of God as if there were a need to identify God apart from Zeus, or Jupiter, Odin, Wotan, or Amaterasu, or any number of false deities. Like, what's the point? There's only one God, so God is enough to say this is the real deal, you know? And it's almost like using a name suggests that I'm accepting that others exist. And I don't want to do that. This is actually a different explanation why the names Lord and God are used in Bibles in the first place. The explanation for that comes from roughly around the turn of the Christian era. And Jews had come to understand the name of God as ineffable to the point that they interpreted, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain," rather to mean, "Thou shalt not utter the name of the Lord thy God." As such, they would euphemize around it, replacing it with the word in their language for Lord or God. And this extended to translations of Scripture. Now, Jerome, when translating the Vulgate, followed the same convention, except strangely in Exodus 6:3, where he replaced the name by the Hebrew word for Lord instead of the Latin one. William Tyndale introduced another innovation. In order to distinguish between translations of the actual word for Lord and the name of God, although he did occasionally transliterate the name of God, he would put Lord or God in small caps and explain that this was why he did it. Started doing this in 1530. Now, he wasn't consistent about it, and it wasn't always carried over into new nations. It was the King James Version that made it a standard convention. And of course, translations that were inspired by the King James would often do. For example, the Staten-Vertaling in Dutch had the Dutch word for Lord in small caps. Now, the form Jehovah is kind of an odd situation. The form was created by people reading the Hebrew text exactly as it was, with the intentionally incorrect vowel mark, and then transcribing that according to their normal standards for transcribing names into English. Thus, at least the name is consistent with how other names are spelled in the Bible. The Samaritans never had any qualms using the name. In fact, this was one of the Jews' beefs with the Samaritans, was that they were willing to utter the name. And the pronunciation they recorded, the Samaritans, was Yahweh. That's how we know, I believe. So my personal stance is I prefer not to use a name with God because I don't feel it's necessary to name that which is one of a kind. Really, all there is, in my opinion. It's hiding behind the laptop. Anyway, Jesus freak out.